Welcome to the Magic Power Podcast with Sarah Jasmin Cartsburg, where you get all the keys you need to awaken your spirit and soul, discover your life's purpose, and learn how to use the incredible power of your mind. To download your free and awesome bonuses, go to magicpowerpodcast.com/free. And now, your host, Sarah Jasmin Cartsburg.
Hello there, and welcome to a new episode. I actually got up at 4:30 this morning because I really wanted to record this episode for you. And as you might know, in the early morning, the energies are a little bit different, and especially spiritual practices or spiritual insights, and I need a lot of spiritual insights to record these podcast episodes for you, are just somehow easier to connect with early in the morning. So this episode's for you. If you either have children that you feel are somehow special, that are not like all their friends, or that maybe suffer from ADHD or ADD. And this episode is also for you if you might not have any children of your own, but you yourself feel that you are just not like everyone else. You maybe have a worldview that's a little bit different, or maybe even more than a little bit different than that of the people around you. Or you maybe feel that just nobody really gets you. Nobody really understands you. So if that's your problem, I might have help for you today. So today, I want to talk with you about indigo children and crystal children. So, what are they? I actually heard first about indigo children when I was a teenager, and a friend of my mother, she gave me that book called Indigo Children. I read it and I liked it, and it just sounded like me. And I gave that book back to her, and she asked me, "Well, Sarah, you think you're one of them?" And I thought, yeah, maybe she's right. Well, I found out years later that this friend of my mother, who's actually working as a graphic designer, is also born with a quality of foreseeing the future. But I didn't know that back then. But I was hooked. That book, it really got me. So I investigated more, and I realized that there are other indigo children out there, just like me. So nowadays, I'm really lucky, because about 80 to 90% of all of my friends and people I surround myself with are indigo or crystal children. And that's just awesome, because that's people who really get me, and I feel really closely connected to them. Let's start with a few facts. Indigo children or crystal children are just way more spiritual beings than most other people. They are just born with this drive to understand the nature of things, and who don't take things for granted. They really want to dive deep. They want to understand more. They don't take no for an answer, or they don't take, well, we don't know that for an answer. They have this deep drive to understand everything. And a lot of these children are adults now today, so maybe you are one of them too. They have special gifts that are not really accepted in our world as it is today. What I mean by special gifts, I mean things like seeing spirits that no one else sees, feeling the feelings of other people, reading other people's minds, maybe even without knowing that you are doing so, maybe even getting all these weird insights that just seem like they are coming from another world, or from other beings, or from other spirits. Also, a lot of indigo children and crystal children, they just have this deep connection to outer space. They are just really curious about, are there aliens out there? Is there life out there? And if so, can we connect with them? And that's because a lot of those children, maybe even all of them, actually are coming from other planets, other dimensions, other worlds that are just way more developed than planet Earth as it is right now. And they remember that. Maybe they don't remember like, oh, I lived on this planet and my life was like this and my body was like this. And that's not what I mean. But they have the sense that another world is possible. And the way we live on planet Earth is not like it has to be. That's what we want to change. We've come with a deep drive inside of us to change the world as it is, to make it a better place, a more beautiful place, a more loving place, a place where people really connect with each other, where people really love each other, a place that's safe, a place where we treat each other equally. A few things you might be confused about. Indigo children, crystal children, well, these are just all terms that some people came up with. Let's not get lost in these terms. I have a lot of clairvoyant friends and colleagues, and one thing they all totally disagree on is the color of auras. So the reason why indigo children and crystal children came to their name is actually that some clairvoyant person saw their aura as indigo or as crystal-like. But let's just say indigo child or crystal child is a term for a person who has a spiritual desire to understand the world and to express him or herself, and this deep knowing that there are possibilities that we as human beings haven't even touched yet. And this sense that you are here for a deeper reason. And it's really important that you understand this reason and fulfill it. Because you know that if you don't understand the reason why you've come to this planet and you don't fulfill it, you might never be happy. And I'm not saying this to frighten you. I'm saying this because I know that if you feel this way, this might be a very clear sign that you are an indigo or crystal child. So let's talk a little bit more about the children. A lot of these children are diagnosed with ADHD or ADD, which is very, very sad. Of course, just a short disclaimer here, there are children who really have this disease and who need help from a doctor or another person who really knows what he or she is doing. But most of these people are not. They are just misdiagnosing the children because they don't know what an indigo child really is all about. And an indigo child or crystal child, of course he's unhappy at school. I mean, they are teaching him all this stuff that he maybe doesn't even care about. He's here to save the world. He might even be able to talk to angels. And what's happening? All his friends are laughing at him. His teachers tell him, well, angels don't exist. All these dream worlds you are talking about, they don't exist. You are just making them up in your mind. But maybe your child, he feels and he knows that what he's experiencing in his mind and in his heart is real. For sure, it's real to him. And it's really, really, really important that we support these children. How do I know this? Well, I have 2 children of my own, and they happen to be indigo children or crystal children, however you want to name it. Just a quick note on the side, most children who are born after the year of 2000 are actually indigo or crystal children. Just most parents really don't know about this. And there are a lot of things happening that make our children forget who they really are. Some of those things are like too many vaccinations, too many drugs, too much fluoride in the toothpaste or in the water, the food we eat, the advertisement we surround our children with, and just the worldview we impose upon them, the teachers impose upon them. Sadly, most of these children, until they are teenagers or grown-ups, they have forgotten who they really are. And maybe the same happened to you. If you do have children who you feel could be indigo or crystal children, please try to understand them, educate yourself about them, and help them stay true to themselves. The planet really needs those children right now. And also, you are doing an important and great job of helping them remembering who they really are. The most important thing for those kids is to just give them the feeling that everything's okay with them, that they are just right as they are, that they may be different from other kids, but that they are special and that they have these special gifts and that these gifts are really worth going after and understanding. I mean, who does not want a clairvoyant child? So let me tell you a story about my own children. So like my son, my older son, he's clairvoyant. And I know that ever since he's born. I also know about numerology a lot. So I could already see in his birth date and time numbers that he will be extremely clairvoyant. So the first sign of this was that when he was very young, he was maybe like 2.5 years old. He really started doing these intense, difficult puzzles. I mean, he couldn't even really talk yet properly. I mean, he could, but not like a grown-up. I could just feel and see by the way he was solving these puzzles like quickly and way far too advanced for his age, that there's something special with his sight. He just gets things differently with his eyes. And when he turned a little bit older, he just started talking to me a lot about the angels he was seeing, they were giving him messages, they were giving him guidance. And, well, you know what? I don't know if all of this is true, right? And you maybe not know if all of what your child is telling you is true. But that's not what matters. What matters is, did you give your child the opportunity to experience all aspects of his soul, all aspects of his life? And if an aspect of him wants to experiment with and maybe even does see other spirits, well, for all means, help him understand more about it. Like, for me, what I did was I explained to my son that whenever he needs help, he could call upon Angel Michael. And my son, he's not the aggressive type. So this is sometimes a little bit difficult for him in group settings. But knowing that Angel Michael is there to help him and protect him and guide him and, give him some kind of superpower, it just really, really helps him. Another thing about indigo children is that they just have these interests that are like, they go very, very deep. Like, incredibly deep for a child. Like, for example, my son, he really wants to know everything about the human body. I don't know where he has this from, because in our family, we talk about it and we know about it, but it's not like we are all doctors and this is like he's surrounded with this infos every day, 24 hours a day. It just comes to him so naturally. Like, he asked me to look at these books that medical students use in university to understand about the body. He doesn't want to see a child picture of the lung. He wants to see the real lung. Like a real picture of the real lung. He wants to see what the body looks like inside. He wants to know everything about diseases and viruses and bacteria and healthy nutrition and how to stay healthy and how to live long and how to treat diseases. And this is not something that just came up and then it was an interest for him for like a few months and then he let go of it. No, this has been going on ever since he could talk. Your child maybe has a completely different interest that has nothing to do with the human body or anything human. But indigo children and also people and children who are diagnosed with ADHD or ADD, they tend to have these special interests that they are just very passionate about. And that's a sign that you should really help your child live this passion and give your child the time and the freedom and the space to explore this passion. What can you do? If you have the feeling now that you are an indigo or crystal child, or that maybe your children are, how can you help yourself and how can you help your children? Or if you are a teacher, how can you help the children in your classroom? This does not only relate to your own children. This relates to all the children and people you know. Well, first of all, read books, watch YouTube videos, find out more about indigo children, crystal children. There's tons of stuff out there and tons of good stuff out there. The most important thing I really want to leave you with today is allow yourself the space to be who you are. Stop trying to be like everyone around you expects you to be and to behave. realize that you are just not like them. And your kids, maybe they are just not exactly like their friends. And you don't have to be. And your children don't have to be. It's beautiful that we are all different. It's amazing. But the problem is that we all try to be like the others. It's biological. It's human nature. We want to be part of a tribe. We want to be part of a group. It's just deeply embedded in our genes. What really helped me when I was starting to find out that I was an indigo child and I had no friends who really understood me, I really got out and tried to find people who are like me. And when I did find them, it was like, wow, I don't have to fake who I am anymore. I can just be myself. I can just talk openly about what crazy things are going on in my mind. I can just talk openly about my spiritual struggles, like the struggles only clairvoyant people have. Like, let's say I see an angel. How do I know if the angel is true or if it's just an illusion? How do I know that? No one in high school teaches me how to know the difference, but it's important to know the difference. So go deeper in the topic and find people who do understand you. They are out there. My secret to finding them is be true to yourself. Because if you are not true to yourself and you don't talk about these things, like who you really are, what's really going on inside of you with other people, they will never know who you are. And maybe, I don't know, the woman who's sitting next to you at work, she's an indigo woman too, but she's also afraid to talk about it. So how will you ever get to know each other? Like, really know each other, if not one of you starts being true to herself? I really hope for you that you find the courage to stay more true to yourself. And remember that those are baby steps. In the beginning, it's really difficult for most of us to be true to ourselves. It's just not the way we've grown up. We were always faking who we are, or trying to impress other people, or trying to please our parents, or trying to fit into our group. But start with small steps. Maybe find one person who really understands you, and then maybe you find another. And start talking to your children about who they are, and that's okay if they have these visions that they maybe come from another planet, and trust yourself. Trust yourself that you have found this podcast and especially this episode for a reason, and that there is help out there, and you just need to ask for guidance, and the spirits will be there immediately. But the spirits guide, they are not even allowed to help you if you don't ask them for help. You don't need to know how to pray or how to see them or how to talk to them. Just close your eyes and say, "Dear spirit guides of light and love, please help me now and guide me now to find my way, to find my path, to find my true way through life." Or any other thing you want to ask them to help you with. It's as easy as that. Have a beautiful indigo crystal-like and true to yourself day. I catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Magic Power Podcast. If you loved this episode, please share it with your friends and subscribe to her show now on magicpowerpodcast.com.